You're listening to NGSC Sports Radio. Hear us live on ngscsports.com, where you can get awesome analysis for all things sport. Or check out our podcasts on iHeartRadio, Spreaker, iTunes, TuneIn, and much more. For our latest videos, head to NGSC Sports YouTube channel. Follow us on Twitter at NGSC Sports and like us on Facebook. NGSC Sports. We never stop.
Thank you, dog. Oh man, what a damn day!
Yeah, it's been a day.
What a week!
Yeah.
What a month!
What a year!
Damn you, man! Damn you!
Damn you to hell!
Damn you all to hell! Oh, Piggly. That'll do, Piggly. That'll do. Oh, man. Oh, inside the parka. Oh, man.
Somebody hit the park home run?
In the Diamondbacks Dodgers game.
Oh, okay. I was like, oh.
Yeah, no, we're having a meeting at the match. Because now they have a runner at third with one out.
Seriously.
F them right in the A. That's all I see.
That's fair. Did you get my email I forwarded to you at some point? Like, I think it was yesterday or 2 days ago.
About ICC?
Yeah.
Yeah, that they were getting this stuff up.
Yeah.
Yes, I saw that.
I was like, their website has nothing on it, so let me scrounge through my emails to see who I can actually contact with them to figure it out.
Well, that's
this guy.
It's good. It's good.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So hopefully, just bummed it's on Sunday this year, but I guess that's not terrible.
Yeah. Well, I mean, that's my week off too. So.
Yeah.
I'm definitely in good.
Yeah, I feel bad for Jack though, because that Monday is her first day of school.
Oh God, no!
Yeah.
Oh gee, oh no!
So we will not have the services of one name.
Sounds like she just needs to call out sick.
Yeah, first day of school. Sorry, kids.
There will be no singing today.
Yeah.
We will sing tomorrow.
There's more important things to do.
Yes, there's Liverpool, Dortmund in a match that doesn't matter.
Yeah.
Doesn't matter.
Oh, speaking of matches that don't matter.
Oh,
well, I wasn't going to use that as the intro to the Foreign Affair Podcast episode 209, but I guess I might as well, welcome, everyone. Man, what a difference 72 hours makes for one's state of mind. It's been.
I can sort of breathe again now.
Yes, just a little bit. I am Edward Green, joined as always by McCall and Crime West Bradshaw. This podcast, as always, is presented by NGSC Sports at ngscsports.com. We never stop, and the Premier League football is about to. This Sunday, we're heading into match week 38, which means our Premier League coverage will be done for the year. But in like 2 weeks, the World Cup starts. Or no, in 2 weeks, we have Champions League final. And then 2 weeks after that, we have the World Cup. So we have a lot of stuff still to go this summer. And
as I like, oh, soccer season almost over. I said, sorta, but not really.
Yeah.
It never really ends.
We have the World Cup and then the biggest tournament in the world, the International Champions Cup. And then we're right back into it. And of course, this year, which I believe is the same as it was about 2 years ago when we had, where's Griezmann going to go? Where's Neymar going to go? Where's Pogba going to go? Who knows? Who frigging knows? Also, I do want to
God, we will throw uneducated games.
Absolutely. Also, real quick, to Barcelona, who just tried to pick up Griezmann and said they will trigger his release clause. Fuck you. You don't ever get to complain about anything ever again. Just
nope.
Just don't do it. Like, I love you, Messi, but don't you fucking
Messi is not to be held in standard of those jagoffs who run that place.
That's true. That is.
They are the worst.
That's absolutely factual. We will get into more facts as we wrap up match week 37 of the Premier League. We will hit news and notes, little brief stories there, and then the watch for and so raw. So Wes, let's kick it off with going back to Friday, because we had Friday night football on NBC Sports, and Brighton and Hove. Their day got a little brighter as they take down Manchester United at the Amex Stadium. 1-0, Pascal Gross with the goal there in the 57th minute to give B&H their win there. And basically, that didn't lock up their top flight stay. They were already pretty much good to go, but that solidifies them very much in that core where another win could actually take them into the top half of the league to end the season. So
they've made it to the mid-table.
Yeah, and we'll get into what team they might have to beat to do it in a little bit. On Saturday, we had Palace coming back to beat Stoke 2-1 in heartbreaking fashion. Patrick Van Aanholt with the winner there. Xherdan Shaqiri, what's going to happen to him? Had Stoke's lone goal in the 43rd minute, and this all but relegates Stoke to the championship. In fact, actually, it does relegate Stoke to the championship. At that point, they were living large with Shaqiri's first goal. But unfortunately, MacArthur and Van Aanholt killed Stoke's chances to stay up. Speaking of staying up, West Ham confirmed that they're going back to the Prem for another season whenever they get a new stadium, I guess. With
another Moisey miracle.
With a 2-0 win over Leicester City, Jean-Mario and Mark Noble with goals at the KP. Watford beats Newcastle 2-1. They got it started very early with a second-minute Roberto Pereira goal. Andre Gray added another for the home side to go up 2-0 at the half. Ayoze Perez pulled one back for the Magpies, but they couldn't get an equalizer. Bournemouth beats Swansea 1-0. A goal there in the 37th minute from Ryan Fraser put Swansea in a bit of a pickle, as we'll get to in their midweek match. And that coupled with Everton 1, Southampton 1. Southampton nearly got to stay up in the Premier League automatically through Nathan Redmond's 56th-minute goal, but a Tom Davies 96th minute goal. A 96th minute goal with 4 minutes added on for Everton gets them the equalizer at home at Goodison Park. So good for you, Everton. Feel real good about that. Manchester City draws Huddersfield Town, and this result, as we will get to later, is actually gigantic. For Man City, it does mean they actually do now have to win out, which they took care of the first part today, to get to 100. If they do not win this weekend, though, they will not hit 100 points. Arsenal beats Burnley 5-0 in the battle of 6th place. Arsene gets his big trophy to end the season, the 6th place trophy. Good on him.
Well, I don't know, actually.
I think...
Are they locked into that even after today?
Yes, they're 6th clear.
Okay.
Yes, that was the deciding factor. Now, if Burnley had won, Sunday would have been magnificent, but no, unfortunately, Arsenal will be finishing 6th place. So let's head straight to Tuesday then. Swansea, Southampton, basically winner gets to stay up for sure, and Southampton pulls a big 1-0 win. Excuse me, on the road in Wales through Manolo Gabbiadini. He gets the goal for Southampton, his 5th of the Premier League season. is the one that keeps the Saints up in the Premier League. It's been a rocky road for them this entire way, but they do stay up. And Swansea, now I say do, it would take literally an almost impossible act of God for Southampton to go down at this point. So Swansea is about to go down. So we move down to Wednesday. Leicester beats Arsenal 3-1. Kalichi Iheanacho with the early goal in that one. Aubameyang answers in the 53rd minute. And then Jamie Vardy had his party with the penalty in the 76th minute. And then Riyad Mahrez, hey, he's playing for Leicester again. He finished it off Arsene in the 90th minute. He said, haha, you will never get me. And then Manchester City beats Brighton and Hove 3-1. So, Wes, let's first head to Anfield. No, I mean, oh God, I'm having a stroke. What's that place called? Stamford Bridge. Yeah, that one. Let's head there, where it's Chelsea 1, Liverpool 0, and this was on Sunday, combined with West Brom 1, Tottenham 0, makes things very interesting as of 72 hours ago. Right there for those 3rd, 4th, 5th place slots, Chelsea starts creeping in through an Olivier Giroud goal in the 32nd minute and some very nice time wasting on Chelsea's part. And then Tottenham give up a late goal to West Brom in the 92nd minute to Jake Livermore. They fall 1-0. That, for a brief moment, keeps West Brom up, but other results throughout the week would eventually send them back down to the championship. So Wes, now let's zero in on the match at Stamford Bridge. That makes things just a little bit spicier for Liverpool coming into this weekend.
It did. Today's result has really kind of given Liverpool a little bit of breathing room. Instead of having to go out and win now, a draw is done. It takes a little bit of the pressure off the Reds. But it was a trip to Stamford Bridge, a very inopportune moment for Liverpool to have to go there. Coming off the draining, the draining run of matches that they've had. This was kind of the end of that run where they were playing 2 a week. They get by Roma last week, as we talked about in our last episode, and we kind of talked about what kind of team does Klopp put out. I said I think he puts out a strong side.
He did put out
just
a
sees the thing get done,
side.
and he did. I mean, the only change in there from the was Nathaniel Klein for, I believe, Jordan Henderson. And then they just moved Trent up to the left or to the right side of midfield. I mean, man, really, when you look at Liverpool right now, what they've done in the Champions League and the fact that they're basically a game away right now from confirming another top 4 finish, it's somewhat amazing considering who's available for Jurgen Klopp. I mean, he's basically playing with 12 guys right now. When your impact substitution right now is Nathaniel Klein at right back.
Yeah,
I mean, that's where Liverpool are living right now. You'll get, you should have strengthened. Well, you know what? I mean, the only issue is in midfield. And I mean, how likely was it that, damn, fucking Yankees.
Yeah.
I mean, how likely was it that 3 midfielders would all go down with each other? And unfortunately, all 3 of them would be like the guys who play the same position.
Yeah.
I mean, in March, we had 6 healthy midfielders. Everything was fine. And just unfortunately, 3 of them caught bad injuries. I mean, yeah, we could have done a little something in January maybe, but I think it's some people are getting a little doom and gloom over the league form at the moment. And they're forgetting that, well, the reason the league form is slipping is because these guys are killing themselves in midweek, to get to the Champions League final. So it was a disappointing loss. And just the way the match played out, for the first 30 minutes, Liverpool were far and away the better team. Mm-hmm. They came out, you could kind of see quickly the game plan was, man, let's try to blitz them and get a goal or two. And then if we can get 2 goals and go into halftime, all right, then we'll rethink how we're going to play this. But unfortunately, Chelsea kind of got that goal against the run of play. Giroud, who is turning into, it's crazy, Finger. You let him play matches, and the guy's good. Go figure. Giroud's turning into one of the better strikers in the league here to stretch. And unfortunately for Liverpool, it was just a day where, like I said, after about that 30 minutes, you could just see them, you could just see the legs catching up with them. Mm-hmm. And unfortunately, they just weren't able to get another goal. They had some good opportunities, just couldn't get in there. The youngster, oh God, I've totally blanked on the kid's name.
Andy Robertson.
No, the striker who came off the bench for us. Solanke. Yeah. Tom Solanke. Solanke had a late-on header. I believe is one of those, if Solanke had scored a goal this year, that probably would have gone in. Just one of those things.
He's Roberto Soldado syndrome.
Kind of. Unfortunately, the only difference is for him and expect him to lead the line. But it was one of those, if his confidence was up, maybe that ball goes in, but it's not, so it doesn't. And at the end of the day, Liverpool ended up dropping 3 points. But even at the moment, it wasn't doom and gloom because Liverpool still completely were in control of their own destiny. Mm-hmm. That's something you always hear in baseball at the end. They control their destiny. They control their own destiny. I mean, that's how Liverpool works. Chelsea have had a great run here late in the season to get themselves back in the scrap. But either way, win or lose, all Liverpool had to do was come out this Sunday and beat Brighton and Hove. I mean, it was going to kind of be that way anyway. Just go beat Brighton and Hove and everything will be fine. And then after today's result, now it's either just get a win or a draw, and you're fine. But the big disappointment for this week coming up is, you were hoping maybe to give guys some more rest and, maybe debut some of the youngsters. There was a chance to maybe start 3 or 4 of the young kids and let them get a match under their belt. But you know what? You go out, you do what you do. I think you're going to see more of a revitalized Liverpool just because they finally had a week off. They finally had a chance to rest, recuperate, and then actually get a little practice time, where over the last month it's basically been play, recuperate. Mm-hmm. So, it is a big match coming up this but one that I think Liverpool are definitely going to be big favorites for. And considering B&H have already confirmed their Premier League status next season, they're not having to play Hellfire, Blood, and Guts. So I think Liverpool can at the least get a point this week.
Yep, and speaking of Hellfire, Blood, and Guts, that's what Huddersfield Town played with today. And this is the other final pair of results we'll talk about for the week. Chelsea won, Huddersfield Town won.
Ed, I don't know if you've heard or not, but Jurgen Klopp are good friends.
What?
I know. It's kind of like that London Stadium thing.
Wes, I don't know if you've heard this. Did you know David Wagner is American?
Oh, did you know he was Jurgen Klopp's best man in his world?
It's crazy.
All these things that we're just finding out, right?
It's how did we just find out about this the last week of the season?
But yes, after today, I think Jürgen owes Wagner a pint.
Oh, yeah. He might.
Or maybe a Stein.
Oh, yeah.
Maybe das Boot.
Oh, Laurent de Potter. He's really the man of the match there for Huddersfield as he gets them the goal in the 50th minute. Chelsea, 10 or 12 minutes later, does get a goal back through a James Milner special, though this one was not an own goal. Marcus Alonso's face being in the right place at the right time to put it into Huddersfield's net. Did make it 1-1, and a couple big chances late. A couple header. Anders Christensen had a header that could have won it for Chelsea and went just barely. I believe actually it was tipped onto the post and out.
Oh, that was so massive. I think the keeper's name was Lois, something along those lines. Go figure, he's German.
Actually, he's Danish.
Oh, he's Danish.
He's Denmark's keeper.
Well, I'll say it just to piss everyone off. All the Europeans are pretty much the same.
It's true. That's what Hitler thought.
But that was an amazing reaction save. That really, that ball was destined for the back of the net. He got, as they kept saying, the tips of his gloves.
Yes.
Got on that ball, and just a huge save and a huge moment for Liverpool fans, and then just a gut-wrenching moment for Chelsea fans.
Yeah, also
not that they don't deserve it, but still.
Very true. Also a huge moment for Tottenham fans as they go back to Wembley, those House of Horrors, and beat Newcastle 1-0 at home. Harry Kane's 28th goal of the season in the Premier League gets Tottenham back into the Champions League. In the 50th minute, he puts it in, and Tottenham holds on to a nervy 1-0 victory. So their final match of the season against Leicester, only matters to see if they will finish third or fourth. They are locked into the top four, and with the rule changes, fourth, there's no difference between third and fourth now for England. So now, as we take a look at the Premier League table, the only big point of contention now remaining, as you said, Wes, is Liverpool needing either a win or a draw this weekend against Brighton and Hove. They're currently sitting in fourth place with 72 points. Chelsea are 2 points back with 70, but a vastly worse goal differential, 42-27, in fact. So it would take a a Liverpool loss and a Chelsea win to knock Liverpool into fifth place. That is the only way it is going to happen. Tottenham with a win or a draw and a non-Liverpool win will be third. With a win and a United loss, Tottenham actually would finish second most likely. So still something sort of to play for, but that's more just prize money than anything else. Arsenal are locked into sixth. Burnley are locked into seventh. They are going to the Europa League next year. They'll have to go through the play-in stage, but they are in. And Everton, they're in eighth place and whatever. At the bottom of your heart, the relegation zone, Southampton are 3 points clear of Swansea, and there is 9-goal difference between the two clubs. So Swansea would have to win massively on the weekend. Southampton would have to lose massively on the weekend for Swansea to stay up. West Brom and Stoke have officially been relegated. And just as we take a quick peek at the upcoming matches, by the way, West Ham and Manchester United do play on Thursday, 2:45. That'll probably have already happened by the time you listen to this. So Sunday, 10 a.m., 10 matches. Find a place to watch yours. As we said, Liverpool...
I'll be at work.
There you go. Liverpool takes on Brighton and Hove at Anfield. Chelsea has to go to St. James Park to play Newcastle. The other ones that do sort of matter, Southampton does have Manchester City at home, so there maybe is a small possibility a 5-0 loss could come at the St. Mary's. But then Swansea would have to beat Stoke by a similar scoreline to stay up. Other matches do include Manchester United versus Watford, Tottenham versus Leicester, Palace versus West Brom, Burnley versus Bournemouth, and Huddersfield Town versus Arsenal. And West, just real quick, we did joke around a little bit with Huddersfield, but this was a team that about a week ago was very much in danger of missing or of dropping back straight down to the championship. They go on the road and get a point at Manchester City, and then they go on the road and get a point at Chelsea to secure their spot. That is absolutely phenomenal. And I've seen a lot of criticism on the internet about the way they've played this year and their somewhat, let's call it, pragmatic approach to football. Dude.
We'll call it that, yeah.
But if you're a newly promoted team, what's the goal? It's stay up. And however they did it with a match to spare. So my hat's off to them. Hopefully they get better next year, but they achieved their goal. They are back in the Prem for another season. And that, I think, is amazing.
Oh, absolutely. I mean, you look at it, at this point, none of our promoted teams last year are getting relegated. Everybody's staying up.
Yeah.
And, that's something we talked about before this. And I think we all kind of figured Huddersfield to take the plunge. But, what was really important to Huddersfield especially was they got off to a really good start on the season. And I'll tell you this, too, just talking about it with Newcastle, B&H, and Huddersfield. Newcastle, I think, are kind of in a different bracket than the other two.
True, yeah.
Just for the simple fact that, they're an established Premier League club who just happened to get a shit season thrown at them. The really tough job for Huddersfield and B&H is going to be that second because nobody's going to be overlooking them next year. They're going to be like, all right, they stayed up, they know what they're doing, so we got to be ready for them. Where I think every year you kind of see those promoted squads come up, and a lot of times, not always, but a lot of times they'll especially start to the season. I think it's because a lot of teams just kind of roll it out. They're like, oh, well, you're the promoted squad. We'll take care of you. No problems here. And really for the new squads and teams fighting that already know they're going to fight relegation, getting those early season points, just getting a little bit of, hey, we're going to talk about it more later, getting a little bit of money in the bank. That's big. That's really big. And Huddersfield were able to do it. They got early points, and they've come up big here in the end, getting a couple of draws. This year's champion and last year's champion. I mean, it's obviously they've had their big swoon in the middle of the year, but it's been an incredible ride for that group. B&H had already confirmed themselves, and of course Newcastle's actually done well for what Rafa has to work with. They've done really well this year.
Yeah, for considering they basically don't have any sort of offense, they've done well. But Wes, you mentioned that early part of the season, their first 9 matches, they go 3 wins, 3 draws, 3 losses, so not a bad start at all. 2 straight wins to open it up against Crystal Palace and Newcastle, and then October 21st, they beat Manchester United 2-1. Like that is about as good a start to a season you can have as a newly promoted side. So that and when you look at some of their other matches that they played, even when they were kind of slipping at the end here. In February, they get a 2-1 win at West Brom, a direct sort of rival down there at the bottom. They get a 0-0 draw against Swansea. They get a 1-1 draw against Brighton and Hove, who have been doing well this year. They get a 1-0 win against Watford. They got a lot of wins from teams that they could beat, and then they surprised a couple teams along the way, like the draw at Man City and like the win over United.
Oh, yeah. And, you always got to have – it's always those moments that you look back at one of those clubs who's not supposed to be, and you keep yourself up. Things such as catching Crystal Palace. The Moore still managed them. Before Roy Hodgson came in and solidified the Eagles. Manager of the year, right?
They're in top 10th place.
Yeah, I agree.
Just saying.
But I think it's a great job from Wagner. It's a great job from what's his name at B&H? Chris Hughton? Is it Hughton?
Yeah, I think so. Yeah.
I mean, those two spectacular jobs. I mean, Rafa's done Rafa, I think Rafa's worked miracles with literally the ingredients he's been given.
Well, I mean, he almost because of him kept them up the year they were bad.
Exactly. And then, I think it shows how attractive somewhat that job is. The fact that they kept a guy like Rafa Benitez to be the manager for a year in the championship, and then bring him up and stay with them for another year.
Yeah.
And assure their survival, at least for a second. That, just not to get too off track, but the whole Newcastle thing, wow, they really need somebody to get that club off of Mike Ashley. He is such a train wreck of a human being as a owner. I mean, he's got, we talk about, men marrying beautiful women, how they outkick their coverage. I mean, they have so outkicked their coverage with Rafa Benitez as their manager.
Very true.
And just, it's sad the fact that he has nearly zero financial backing at this point. But anyway, that's for another day. That's for your 2018-2019 pre. But all three going to be staying up this year. Fantastic accomplishment. Like I said, I think the tougher one's going to be staying up in year 2. That kind of always seems to be the booger year. So.
Absolutely. Or you could be like Burnley. Granted, they did go down after their first year a couple years ago, but upon returning, they had a decent year last year, and now they're in Europa League. So that's another team to keep an eye on next year. Like, how is Europa gonna...
Unfortunately for them, that means they'll finish 15th next year.
Womp.
The most poison of chalices.
Real quick, do want to take a look at another table, though, and that is the championship table. They have finished their season. They are done as far as as we would say in America, the regular season. Wolves. The Nick Petrovich derby is on, Wes Bradshaw, as Wolverhampton wins the championship, 99 points in their 46 matches. They are coming up. They win the league. And then Cardiff City, they were up a couple of years ago. They're coming back to the Premier League. So
crazy manager there.
Yeah.
Their red Bluebirds uniform, whatever the hell they're doing now.
Yeah. Everybody, Cardiff's back. Now, so that's those top two are automatically promoted. They're going through. Right. And as always, 3 through 6 will be playing that playoff. And it will be third place Fulham versus Derby, who finished 6th. And then Aston Villa versus Middlesbrough. Of course, Aston Villa and Middlesbrough, I believe, went down the same time. Villa went down a couple years ago.
Yeah. Villa and Cardiff, I think, went. And then Middlesbrough went down after last season.
Mm-hmm. And Villa, of course, was in some shambles last time we saw them. But that is your 4th place and 5th place matchup. So one of Fulham, Villa, Borough, and Derby, one of those 4 will be coming back up to the Premier League. Preston North End and Millwall just missing out on the playoff.
Millwall!
And real quick, last place in the championship and being relegated down into League One are Sunderland.
Wow.
That's, we saw it kind of a couple years ago, Wes, with Wigan. And this is another thing where it's just like, it's hard to really see the bottom. We see a lot of clubs like a Villa almost, especially Newcastle, where it's like, oh, they went down. Yeah, they'll probably be back up in about a year's time, 2 at the most. I don't know about Sunderland, man. That's...
Well, there's just... the ownership was bad up there, and they can't get it figured out, man. That's something they just can't get it figured out there. They can't get the manager right. They can't get that right. You may remember former Everton, former Man City player Jack Rodwell.
Mm-hmm, I do.
Jack Rodwell has become a cautionary tale of, this guy's a complete piece of shit.
Well, when I see an article that the headline is Jack Rodwell, Chris Coleman does not know where Sunderland midfielder is.
Yeah. I mean, this is a guy who's making like 80, 90 grand a week and doesn't even bother to turn up most days for anything.
I like this. Quote, I don't even know where Jack is, to be honest with you, so no, he won't be involved at Fulham, Coleman said. Afterwards, Coleman clarified that he was referring to Rodwell's mental state rather than his whereabouts. That's good note.
Sadly, that had to be cleared up.
Yeah, physically, we do physically know where Jack Rodwell is.
But I mean, this is Jack Rodwell, who, you know, supposed to be one of these future England studs, and you know, he's, you know, I mean, this guy has England caps on his belt.
$70K a week.
And he's going to complete shit. Oh, and by going down 40 grand a week?
43. Yep.
Yeah. So, I mean, it's a tough life, I'm sure. I hope he right Latrell's pretty well, but anyway.
Cautionary tales.
But that's just kind of the, I mean, that's almost like the story of Sunderland is, you know, they've got these guys who you're looking at them like, why are they not better? And it's just, they have this magnificent mixture of head cases, underperformers, over-the-hill guys. Can't get the right coach. I mean, it's bad. It is so toxic at Sunderland.
Another article, Sunderland, some players do not want to be at Black Cats, says chief executive. There's also a thing in the owner Ellis Short has been looking to sell the Wearside club, and the American, of course, has said he will give the club away for free if the buyer would take on the club's debt, which right now stands at about a little over 137 million pounds. So.
Yeah, I mean, so, oh man, I mean, they're just in a bad way because, you know, guys who are wanting to make money, they don't want to grab onto a sinking rock and have to immediately go into 137 million debt.
Yeah.
You know, now there is kind of somewhat of a trend recently where, you know, and this is something obviously you'll see there much in America because of the way the system's set up. But over the past few years, you know, of course, everybody wants to be in the Premier League to get that sweet Premier League cash, right? Mm-hmm. Well, you know, due to the way the TV has gone and everything, it's gotten real expensive to go and buy a Premier League squad now. You know, it's like buying an NFL team. You know, you're putting a shit ton of money in it up front. So you started to see a lot of money people, they're buying championship clubs or League One clubs, and they're kind of taking the approach of, well, we'll pump some money into this and we'll get a team to the Premier League. Mm-hmm. Case in point, look at Wolves.
Yeah.
You know, look at Cardiff.
Bournemouth.
You know, they're purchased when they were not Premier League squads, and you know, now those owners are about to reap the rewards. Now, Wolves, we'll talk definitely more about this when we start doing our previews in, God, whenever. That's always a
3 days before the season starts.
3 days before the season, yeah. Wolves have been very controversial this year off the field due to their relationship with special advisor to the club, Jorge Mendes, who, oh, by the way, is like one of the worst super agents.
Oh, boy.
It kind of stunned everyone when Wolves last summer were able to sign Ruben Neves, who's kind of seen as like the future of Portugal football. Well, I mean, of course he grew up, you know, dreaming of playing for Wolverhampton after captaining Porto in the Champions League.
Of course.
Of course he wants to go to Wolves. Neves has had a magnificent, maybe named in the championship. He's been spectacular, as you would expect him to be. Arsenal, Liverpool have been linked with a few years now, and there's been talk that they may go for him this year. But if Wolves are able to keep him, you know, this is a club that they've got. Their owners have money. Wolves are going to come in and not just – their goal is not to finish 17th next year. Wolves are going to come in, and with the squad they have and what potential they are going to be able to build there, Wolves are going to be a squad that are going to be able to compete, I think, in the Premier League for a mid-table position. And maybe if everything goes right, maybe even a Europe spot. Cardiff, obviously, I don't think they're going to be quite that. But, I think the teams coming in next year, I think you've got strong teams coming in. And then you look at someone like a Fulham, who have, Fulham have the golden boy of English football in Ryan Sessegnon, who, this is a really big couple of matches. The consensus seems to be, if Sessegnon will stay for another year. If Fulham don't get to the Premier League, he could be off. Right now, the big team name is Spurs, are kind of the leader in the clubhouse. Liverpool have been connected with him. A lot of people thought he was going last year to either Merseyside or North London, and he stuck out another year, and he's had a spectacular year there for Fulham, playing in a more advanced role. We've talked about him before. He kind of trends Gareth Bailey a little bit. So will he be on the market, or is he this year? Aston Villa have some guys, Jack Grealish being one of them, who, if they don't make it up, there's a chance he could end up signing with the Premier League squad this summer. So I think there are some strong teams, especially in the playoff, that have big-time players, and it's just going to come down to who can get up. And being able to get to the Premier League is going to be so big for these guys, not only the money, but also being able to try to keep some of their top young talent in place. So, they call it the game in the world. The playoff final is the richest game in the world, because if you can just get to the Premier League, the money flows.
Yes.
So we'll see what happens. I'm going out on a limb. I'm picking Aston.
I think Fulham. I think it's gonna be Fulham.
Okay.
That's who I'm going to pick. But I would not be surprised. I wouldn't be surprised to see any one of these four teams come on up from the playoffs. So it's gonna be nutty. And then of course that kicks off transfer season. Hooray!
Oh, our favorite. And of course it's gonna be.
You guys have 3 weeks.
Shuts on what the end of it. Yeah. Well, I don't think that. I think you're going to see a really, because here's the other thing: is a lot of teams in the transfer market, they want to get guys in before they go off to the World Cup. I think you're going to see a ton of early movement, and I think you could start as soon. I mean, it's already starting.
Yeah,
I think it's really going to kick up in the next few weeks. I mean, you could see Liverpool and Madrid making before they even play that Champions League final.
Alisson, I believe, has been linked actually so far to both clubs.
Yeah, and there was a rumor going around from France this week that Nabil and Liverpool had already agreed to transfer. That's kind of been pushed back, like, well, no, we might be. But that would be big money move number one for Liverpool if they're able to. That would improve them. And it's going to be crazy transfer window with the World Cup. Because, like I said, all these big clubs, especially, they want to get their work done before these guys go to the World Cup, so they're not having to fight it at the end and after the. So get ready, folks. Just as you think, wow, we tailing off some with the season. Oh no, not between that and the transfer market. Holy crap, the summer is going to be busier than the season.
Yeah, just about. It's gonna be a little nutty. So many big names apparently are back on the table. So I honestly think we won't go too far into this. I do think Griezmann could be the domino, though. Whatever happens with him could impact a lot of other situations.
Oh, well, don't forget this one, that Neymar.
Yeah.
Apparently, they've been quoted a price now.
I think it was 228.
228 million pounds.
Yeah.
Where last year was 222 euros.
Yep.
That got him from Barcelona. So they're basically jacking it up another 20, 30. They're jacking it up another Alex Oxlade-Chamberlain. Yeah, I mean, and you want to talk about some dominoes starting to fall, and if Neymar moves, holy shit. Because then PSG is going to have more money than... I mean, now there is a chance for PSG that they go into next season without either Neymar or, oh, God.
Yeah, that guy. Mbappe.
Mbappe. Yeah, there's a chance Mbappe is going to... So, because apparently he's not very happy.
If PSG, obviously it's not a straight trade because it involves different teams. PSG trades out Neymar for Pogba and Griezmann. Are they better?
They might be. And two, also, I think it's going to maybe Thomas Tuchel.
Yeah.
Which I don't think is a great hire, but anyway.
I don't think he'd be good for that club.
But that's me.
I think he'd drive himself insane there.
Yeah, he's a little crazy anyway. So
this is true.
I mean, I know we kind of got.
Yeah.
It's going to just be so fun this summer.
Buckle in, folks. It's gonna be a bumpy ride,
especially when Christian Eriksen goes to Barcelona.
Oh, shut your mouth. Shut your mouth.
Actually, probably Real Madrid.
Shut your mouth. No, they're not going to have any more money after they buy Neymar. What are you talking about?
No, they're going to give y'all Luka Modric back.
Oh, okay, gotcha. Of course.
That's what I've heard.
So let's hit the actual news and notes, and a bit of a somewhat sad story to lead off with. Only 2 stories on the docket. One of them sad. Alex Ferguson did have to undergo emergency brain surgery on the weekend after having a brain hemorrhage. He is doing better. He is now doing outpatient treatment. He has been released. So that news did come out over the weekend. And so I don't really have anything else to add to that.
Latest prognosis, he has kind of come out of it.
Mm-hmm.
So, I mean, the prognosis is very good for him at this point. Oh, God. Well, he came out. Oh, the first thing they said, the very first words that he uttered when he came out of this coma was how to Doncaster. So, of course. Fergie is always turned on, man. I'll give him that. And as you folks know, I'm certainly not a big Alex Ferguson fan. But, that said, we don't wish anything like that upon anyone. So, definitely from the Afford and Fair podcast, get well, Fergie.
Yeah.
Apparently some good news. They said, he's going to be, they've already started looking at rehab.
Mm-hmm.
It's going to be more inpatient rehab, so he's actually going to stay in the hospital for a while.
I thought he'd been
but it's positive news.
Yeah.
Coming out of that, it's positive news. So get well soon, Fergie. We need your big red nose back on our tellies.
Well, as we move on to the next story and our last story, just as I'm getting notification, Boston has taken care of Philadelphia, 114-112. Celtics go into the Eastern Conference Finals of the NBA. That is the thing that is happening. Another Boston team is going to be making a little bit of noise in London next year. That London Stadium, man, it'd be amazing if somebody played there, I think. It's, because it works so well for the NFL, Major League Baseball is going to try it too. Next, June 29th and 30th, the Yankees and the Red Sox will play a 2-game set at the London Stadium in London. It's going to be a first for Major League Baseball going across the ocean. They have gone to San Juan. They've gone to Williamsport, Pennsylvania, as well as our very own Fort Bragg, North Carolina. That is also not including what they've done with the World Baseball Classic. I think it's going to be very interesting.
Yeah.
Wes Bradshaw.
I'm not. I don't like it.
Yeah, it's.
I mean, God. I mean, you want, especially in baseball, where there's so much travel.
Yeah.
Anyway. And guys have to turn around and go from one. They talk. And now, luckily, these are two East Coast teams. But, I mean, you're sending these guys over there for a 2-game series. It's not like it's the start of the season. You know, we've seen this in the past with opening the season in Japan or Korea. We've seen that. And you know, that in the past has thrown teams into a funk.
Mm-hmm.
You know, that it's taken that a lot of teams haven't been able to get out of. I remember Oakland especially. God, Oakland, they went and started the season in Japan, then they were just terrible. And a lot of them, they blamed a lot of it on Japan, on going over there and, you know, just never getting right. And you're asking them to do this in the middle of the season? I mean, what's going to be I want to know the time around it that they're going to have on.
Mm-hmm.
Because this isn't just, you know, it's not like the NFL where you get a whole week to kind of readjust. I mean, I assume they're going to come back and have, you know, Boston going to Baltimore, and, you know, the Yankees going to Toronto. Or it's just like, shit, you know, no one else has to deal with it. And it's
also Boston's losing 2 home games instead of 1 each.
Well, of course we are, because nice.
You
know, yeah, I mean, because, you know, nothing says advantage like playing at the place where West Ham shits the bed every week.
I mean, I'd be okay with this if this was like the week before the season started and you wanted to throw an exhibition game in there or two.
Yeah,
I'd be okay with that. But
or I mean, even if you wanted to call it opening day, and then you give them 5 days to get ready to come home and play.
Yeah.
You know, and everyone also knows that Boston. I mean, is that just me?
Wait, what did you say?
I said, obviously, if Boston is playing a home game,
yeah.
I mean, Jesus, that's our home away from home.
It's true.
Field Road. I mean, Liverpool's play at Fenway.
Yeah.
So, hey, maybe the Red Sox will take a tour.
Jurgen, you want to come coach Boston?
I will come and coach the best known as the third. Boom! God, can you imagine Klopp tearing into a damn
heavy metal baseball?
Heavy metal baseball. We will run and we will.
There's no pressing in baseball, Jurgen.
There's no pressing in baseball. But yeah, I mean it's an interesting. That's the whole.
Yeah.
The other thing is I really, and I understand. I mean, you know, that's giving them the best of what you got there now. That's one thing.
Yeah.
You're giving them Red Sox, Yankees. I mean, that is giving them the best.
Mm-hmm.
You know, the NFL likes to give you, you know, the Browns and you know the Saints or something. They're giving them the best, but I think that's also those two teams in particular. They're catching it, man. It's not going to be easy for anybody to do. It'll be a great cultural experience, I guess. But
hooray!
I am going to be interested sitting up in the stands wearing a Red Sox hat, trying to figure out what's going on. Because you know there'll be you just know there'll be a nice little contingent there sitting in the Red Sox section.
It's like cricket.
Oh, look, that's Sadio Mane.
It's the Ashes.
Oh, but yeah, I'm not. I do think if you're going to do it, it should not be in freaking July.
Yeah, that's
even though it might be 75.
It'll probably be rainy though. That'll be perfect. It'll just rain out.
Yeah, you can rain out. That'd be great.
That'd be the best. All right. Well, that's going to do it for news and notes for the week. Wes, let's hit the watch for. What are you watching in the week that was or the week that will be?
SEAL team may have been their season. maybe it's next week. I can't get a grasp on them. I've talked. They really spread out those episodes trying to hit sweeps, and it's not sweeps yet. So maybe there's going to be another one or two. But God, they left us on a cliffhanger last week. Helicopter Taliban territory. I'm nervous, Ed. I'm nervous for my guys. I missed it tonight, so it'll obviously be popped on for me tomorrow. But oh man, it seems like there was something else I was going to throw in the watch for. I've kind of forgotten it. So sorry, America.
Oh, that's okay.
And Bosnia.
There you go. I was actually telling you about that. Somebody asked me, what do we do for our podcast? And I explained it to them. And they were like, do you check about like how big your reach is and everything? I was like, oh yeah, we're very big in the Eastern Bloc, especially Bosnia and Herzegovina. And they kind of laughed. I was like, no, seriously.
No, we're serious. We're huge in the Balkans.
Yes. We're the Eastern former Soviet Union. It's great.
We've replaced Voice of as the go-to in the former communist Eastern Europe.
Oh God, it's great. What have I been watching? I've been watching. What have I been watching? I tell you what I will be watching. Not this coming week. I probably should have saved. Oh no, I can tell you. I haven't seen it yet. But we were going to bring it up last week, but we did a big old Infinity War cast. Arrested Development.
That's what I was just thinking too.
They're back. Not only did Mitch Hurwitz recut season 4 to be more of a normal timeline, which I've heard is very good and is currently available on Netflix. Season 5 coming at the end of the month. Who knew?
Oh yeah.
That is great news.
I've got a feeling it's going to be better than season 4 was. But like you said, they said so I'm going to have to go back and watch that remix.
I'm just excited for more Arrested Development.
Yeah, I'm just excited to see.
So nice. Did you know?
I've seen a part where he says, it's been 5 years since I last blued myself.
By the way, I think I mentioned it last week on the Infinity Warcast. I did mention that the guys had put a blue man, a never nude, in Infinity War.
Yes.
How about this? Did you know? And I actually, because I rewatched Civil War recently, I recognized it. The big airport fight scene in Civil War. Did you know that the motor truck with the stairs that they drive around?
Yes,
it's there. It's in that.
Supposed to be an Easter egg.
Yes, it's in that scene.
And once they said that, I do remember it.
Yeah.
I didn't put that in Arrested Development.
Oh man,
that's awesome.
Arrested Development is the best.
Oh, it is. It's so good.
So.
I don't think any of you have ever actually.
Oh man! Well,
I'm just so excited for the return of Joe Blue.
It's the role he was born to play, really.
Oh my God!
And Portia de Rossi. So that'll always.
Apparently, she's running for office in this.
Perfect. So Wes, from something that has been absolutely perfect and just wonderful, and we're so glad to have back in our lives. Let's go to Backlash, where I bet there was no backlash to Backlash, right?
Well, there was definitely some backlash. I have, and my time schedule has just not allowed me to.
Womp.
But from the sound of it, it sounds like there's only one match I really.
Yeah.
And that's Seth Rollins and The Miz burned the house down at Backlash. Seth Rollins, that was for the Intercontinental title. Rollins beat The Miz to retain and kind of end that little feud. I'm going to tell you, man, Seth Rollins, and you know that Seth Rollins fan, ever since he ever since June 2nd, 2014, when he broke up the Shield, especially. But
of course,
that anniversary's coming up.
We'd only been doing the podcast for about like a month.
Oh yeah, because it was literally like the most devastating moment of my life at that point. I can barely do a pod that day. So yeah, we're coming up. We've hit 4 years now. 4 years of doing this. Fantastic, bringing it to the Eastern Bloc. They're loving it.
Hell yeah.
But as you know, I've been a huge Seth Rollins mark. Especially while Rollins was the world champion, just had a fantastic run with that as a heel. The injuries have been just terrible when they've hit him.
Mm-hmm.
But right now, he's got to this point where he's back from that last knee injury. It took him a little while really to kind of not so much find his feet, but just find his groove with everybody. And right now, over the last few months, Seth Rollins is maybe the most over guy on Raw, not named Braun Strowman.
Yeah.
But as a straight up worker and entertainer, I mean, the whole thing with Braun Strowman is Braun Strowman is like a phenomenon. Where Braun Strowman is a little more sizzle. Seth Rollins is. I mean, he is so good. He's carrying Raw right now. While whatever WWE is trying to do with Roman Reigns, no, Seth Rollins is the biggest star on Monday Night Raw right now, and I don't even think it's close. He's so good. His matches have just been fantastic lately. Putting him with The Miz and Finn Balor, just wow, man. They've been so good. Seeing him and Balor as a team, as opponents, man. I mean, we're blessed and lucky right now to see guys this good and this special in the business. So he had the huge match with Miz. He does an open challenge on Monday night. Fights Mojo Rawley.
Oh boy.
Literally, I think everyone hates Mojo Rawley, and it's not like, oh, we hate him. No, we just don't like him because he's been a good guy for like 3 years, and he booed out of him. But he ends up beating Mojo Rawley, and a guy like Mojo Rawley, yeah, he's one of those former NFL guys, played at the University of Maryland. Mojo Rawley's a good athlete, not a good wrestler. Man, Seth Rollins made him look like it. Seth Rollins tonight. And it's just because Seth Rollins will do it. Rollins is in the same category to me as AJ Styles, as some of the guys over in Japan, where it's just when they're in with you, they make you look so much better just because of what they can do.
Mm-hmm.
And I think we're seeing a Seth Rollins and this whole burn it down kind of gimmick that he's running right now. It's good. People are buying into it. No one thinks it's like corny or anything like that. It's really good. So Rollins, by all accounts, easily had match of the night at Backlash. From what I hear, the Reigns Samoa Joe beyond hot garbage.
I actually heard the intro to that fight with the crowd completely no-selling Roman's introduction. It was great.
Yeah, and speaking of Roman, they're kind of the word getting. We're starting to see it some. I love WWE, but things can be so blatant in front of their face. WWE is the ultimate can't see the forest for the. Sometimes Roman Reigns is begging for him to be a heel,
right?
And Vince McMahon and from we're going to make him a babyface, and these people are going to accept him as a babyface. So it's kind of like the newest way of doing it. And I quote this from something I read, is to go the Daniel Bryan route and have the authority like turning and screwing Roman at every turn.
Oh.
Well, see, here's the difference. With Daniel Bryan, still believe that a lot of the Daniel storyline was actually real.
Mm-hmm.
Obviously, I'm not talking about they were beating the shit about But I really do think that WWE never had any real intent of pushing Daniel Bryan and making him like the guy.
Uh-huh.
They never had that intention. I think, and the movement fan was so big, you know, and everyone believed you're screwing them, you're holding them down, you're doing to them, and everyone believed it. And like I said, I think there was truth to it. And then when Daniel Bryan won the title, everybody lost their shit, and it was amazing, and everybody remembers it like so positively. Well, the thing is, Daniel Bryan was not ever seen as the guy. He was not the big thing. He was not the chosen one. He really had to kind of fight, and it was that took him and got him where he ended up being. Roman Reigns has been the chosen one since day one. You cannot make the chosen one out to be being held down by the system. We all know 100% it's a work. Okay, it's the storyline. That doesn't mean we're going to... Because no one truly believes that WWE is trying to hold down Roman Reigns. Because he's a freaking Greek god. He's 6'3" and weighs 270 pounds and has a physique and a jawline and hair that like 98% of America wants. Daniel Bryan was 5'10", pale and a little flabby. You know, let's put it this way. I don't want to look like Daniel Bryan. I don't. If you said tomorrow, Wes, you know, you can change your life and look like Daniel Bryan, I'm fine. I like being tall. If you said, Wes, you can snap your finger and look like Roman, you wouldn't finish the sentence. No, hell yeah. So WWE, I think they're really misguided with this. From just everything you hear, a lot of this comes straight from Vince McMahon.
Yeah.
Vince McMahon just has these certain guys that he makes like... And the thing is, you can tell. Braun Strowman came out and cut a promo this on Raw that read straight out of the 1989 Vince McMahon, I just wrote you a promo. And it was a little disheartening because, you know, Braun Strowman has been so fun and so charismatic for what he is. And suddenly, it sounded like Vince McMahon had written him. And no one wants to go to that because we love Braun Strowman. He is. You know, come on, Vince. Don't fuck this guy up, man. It's very hard to fuck up a guy. By God, if anybody can figure out how to do it, it's Vince McMahon. You know, like I said, I don't think there's any way without turning Roman Reigns heel for 3 years that you're ever going to get Roman Reigns over as a... But WWE, it's just, you know, they keep forcing it, man. It's like shoving oatmeal down a kid's throat in the morning. You know the kid don't want the damn oatmeal. He's fighting you at every single turn, but you're like putting him in a headlock and forcing it down, saying, "No, you like it. I do not like it. You like it. You know you like it. You know that cheering for it, but we know you like it." So it's just kind of where we are with Roman Reigns.
Yeah.
Yeah. So and then AJ Styles ended up from what I hear, double dick shots.
Yeah.
Dick shots from both of them.
Yep. Double KO.
Yeah, double KOs, and apparently that led to them both being counted out.
Yeah.
Something I haven't seen it, but I do plan to see it. I haven't seen it yet. So Styles Nakamura is still underwhelming at this point, even though it should be absolutely magnificent. That said, apart from all the dick shots, I am really enjoying the Nakamura heel turn.
Mm-hmm.
He is such a dickhead. But the thing is, this is a guy who 6 weeks ago was maybe the third or fourth most popular guy in the company. And now he's getting like legit boos because people are like, this guy's a dick. Which means, what does that mean, Ed? That means he's doing his job.
Yes.
That means he's awesome in getting over as a... I'm still expecting something great to come from these guys. So I'll just keep going and just hope that we finally get that 5 match from them. Okay, getting into Raw, SmackDown more than we're done with Backlash, which means, we've kind of put these cross-promotional rivalries to bed, as we mentioned earlier, is Seth Rollins, Samoa Joe and Roman Reigns, among others. We started qualification this for Money in the Bank. And man, I'm going to tell you, between Raw and SmackDown, they have had some really good wrestling matches on these Money in the Bank qualifiers. Mm-hmm. On SmackDown, The Miz beat Jeff Hardy in a phenomenal, fantastic match. Really, really top match there. Over on Raw, you had Braun Strowman beating Kevin Owens to qualify in what turned out to be a real. They let Kevin Owens actually make you feel times that he would beat Braun Strowman. They had a triple threat late in the night that was insane. Roman and Finn Balor. They did the right thing to let Finn Balor win. So Money in the Bank. I've heard that there's going to be a third Money in the Bank match. I almost wonder if it's going to be like a tag team, which would be a first. But of course, Money in the Bank, you climb up top of the ladder, you get the briefcase, and that gives you a WWE title shot of your choosing whenever within the next year. So, this past year it was, who was it this past year? It was Baron Corbin, which was horrible, and he ended up not winning. But it's always interesting to see who they're going to put, because you can just about guarantee that when you get that briefcase. Mm-hmm. I mean, very, very few times have they not won the title. So, of course, the greatest cash-in ever was Rob when he turned Roman and Brock into a triple match. Yeah, I mean, there have been some good ones, man. And I'm looking forward to them this year. They are doing now all the pay-per-views now are promotional. That doesn't mean they'll be fighting each other, but in these Money in the Bank matches, it will be Raw and SmackDown guys in the match. Mm-hmm. So you don't know which show that the Money in the Bank. What I would really like to see from Money in the Bank, what they may do, I haven't really heard it, but I'm hoping they'll do, is if you've got Money in the Bank, you can actually, if let's just say Becky Lynch wins Money in the Bank, well, why does that mean that she can't show up on Raw and taunt Nia Jax, or let's say Alexa Bliss had the belt, that she couldn't show up and cash in on them? I would like to see that, because that would give another dimension mm-hmm. to what Money in the Bank has. But man, I'm looking forward to it. It's going to be fun. It's always a fun. Those Money in the Bank ladder matches, excuse me, are usually really, really good, exciting. So one thing WWE knows how to do, match. And some of the guys going in, I mean, when you've got Finn Balor, who seems like he would be completely at home on the ladder, and then you've got Braun Strowman, who is 6'8", 385 and in the ladder match. I mean, it's already, man, it's going to be crazy. Rusev actually beat Daniel Bryan in a qualifying match, which I think surprised a lot of people. So Rusev is with a win over Daniel Bryan. It's going to be a lot of fun, man. It's going to be a lot of fun. The Miz is in it, like we said. So good times, man. So out of the ring news, we got a kind of a bizarre injury update. Charlotte Flair, of course, I'll tell you right now, I think is going to be out indefinitely. Oh, no. This is an injury that only occurs with the ladies at this point. Hopefully at this point it'll stay at that point. She actually popped a breast implant.
Oh.
Yeah. Now, I'm not 100% sure if it was against Peyton Royce or where, but I mean, that kind of seems like where it would be. And she was in a qualification match with Peyton Royce. And yeah, she's hurt. So she's kind of out like indefinitely at the moment.
Huh.
Well, I know Charlotte's going to be back. Like I said, that's more of a female wrestler issue. I don't know any male wrestlers with. I could, But so get well soon, Charlotte. Especially someone as good as she is in the ring, and as important as she is to the division. We need Charlotte back. So let's throw some get well soons out there to. And I'll throw one independent thing. Cody Rhodes and the Young Bucks came up with this idea that they wanted to run a big venue for an independent wrestling.
Mm-hmm.
Most independent wrestling shows, a big venue. Somebody said something to, I believe it was Wade Keller, one or the other, both big-time wrestling writers, saying, did they ever think that Ring of Honor could get 10,000 people at a show? And he said something like, not a chance, bet on it. So Cody Rhodes and the Young Bucks, and in, I believe it's going to be August or September, they're going to be running at the Sears Center in Chicago, which is a 10,000, and they're expected to put 10,000 people in there. They're calling the event. It's actually mostly being funded by the Bucks and Cody Rhodes. So, of course, if it works out, they're going to definitely get a nice financial boon off of it. But those are some guys who, in the independent wrestling world right now, the Young Bucks are kind of like, they're that team that's never been to WWE that everyone see them on WWE television, except for the hardcore school. No, they're. But the Young Bucks, and of course that's all New Japan, Ring of Honor. But apparently they're going to be having a Monday, I believe, big press conference in Chicago announcing some things for that. But that's something to look forward to, definitely coming up at the summer, is the All-In event in Chicago. So good luck to Cody Rhodes. And let's hope they can pack out that arena, man. It'll be all independent wrestling.
Yeah.
Be awesome. So, yes, sir. And that, Ed, got us all so raw this week.
I know I'm chafing, so we're going to go put on some ointment as we get ready for a big couple weeks in the world of soccer. Of course, again, this Sunday, the finale of the 2017-18 Premier League season. Liverpool need 1 point to go ahead and confirm that they will be, again, in the Champions League next year and condemn Chelsea to Thursday Night Football. If Chelsea win and Liverpool lose, Liverpool still do have one more shot of getting to the Champions League. They just have to beat Real Madrid. So, you just got to either beat Brighton and Hove, or you got to beat Real Madrid. Just one of the two.
Yeah, draw Brighton and Hove, beat Real.
Just one of the two.
There is an easy way to do this.
Oh,
this is Liverpool. We don't do things easy.
Oh, no. That's just like that night in Istanbul.
Yeah, the only thing I can think is 2-1, and in like the 95th minute, Lovren's going to get a win or something. And we get the draw. That would be the most Liverpool, by the way.
We'll be back next week to recap all that action. We'll maybe do like a preview of the Champions League final. We'll, I believe, have a little bit to talk about maybe with the depending on when the championship playoff runs. We'll talk about that a little bit. And any more news and notes as the transfer season starts.
And of course, next week will be my infield. So we can start a little preview for next week. That'll be our full. Mm-hmm. Oh, it's coming. It's coming.
Oh, boy.
I'm coming.
This podcast just got awkward, so I'm just going to go ahead and tell you about how great we are and grateful we are to have NGSC Sports and NGSCsports.com. We never stop coming. You can find them on Twitter. We're on Twitter as a collective somehow at AFA Pod. Wes, you are?
I'm at Wes Bradshaw 21.
I am at Edward Green. You can also find us on youtube.com/The All New Sports Show. That's our parent show. You can email us at that address, allnewsportshow@gmail.com. And big thanks to our podcast providers, including Podbean.com, Stitcher, Spreaker, iHeartRadio, the TuneIn Radio app, the iTunes Music Store, and Google Play Music. Like I said, we'll be back next week for episode 210 as we are getting ready to put a finishing stroke on this Premier League season. Do you have anything else you want to add before we get out of here?
We are coming down the home stretch of college baseball. It will be reaching a climax very soon, an explosive season it's been. Let's just see if it can finish the job and leave us satisfied.
From McCall and Crime, Wes Bradshaw. I'm Edward Green. Thanks for joining us, Balkan States. We love you guys. We'll catch you guys next week. And until then, stay safe and enjoy the football.
Penis!
Is that what you're saying goodnight to tonight? Penis?
Good night, penis.
Oh, it's never been this bad.
It just so went off the rails right at the
It was fine.
There was nothing that really precipitated that.
Just all of a sudden, I'm coming. Well, I'm not going to tell you not to, so, whatever.
Once you start, you can't stop. It stings.
You're listening to NGSC Sports Radio. Hear us live on NGSCsports.com, where you can get awesome analysis for all things sport. Or check out our podcasts on iHeartRadio, Spreaker, iTunes, TuneIn, and much more. For our latest videos, head to NGSC Sports YouTube channel. Follow us on Twitter at NGSC Sports and like us on Facebook. NGSC Sports. We never stop.